Well, welcome to another event. This is called Your Optimum Life with Dr. Chein. Dr. Chein, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself? I have a question today to ask you that I think our guests are going to want to know. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, basically, I was trained in rehabilitation medicine with a subspecialty in hormones, and subsequently, I just decided to go into deal with hormones once I found out that hormones is the main factor that how we get old, how we age, and we can slow down, reverse biological age, prolong life expectancy, prolong lifespan, increase health span just by optimizing hormones and nutrition. So now that becomes my specialty.
Well, now, many years ago, when you, I should say many years ago, but when you were at USC Medical School,
Yes.
you kind of asked that question differently when it came to aging. How did you structure that made you go down this path that said, hey, I'm not just gonna treat or issues. I'm gonna see if I can discover a way to really solve them.
Right. Basically, I found out that I felt at that point that aging is a disease because ultimately it leads to death. All disease leads to death. All conditions that lead to death is called disease. So why don't we call aging a disease? And so then if we call aging a disease, then we got to slow it and we got to modify it so that we not only lengthen the lifespan but also increase or maintain physical function and mental function. So that became my main goal or focus.
Now you did something that was to prove your point, and I don't want to get too deep into this because there's a lot of information here. But one of the things that we all need, like the very first time I met you, and you were telling me about your specialty and actually how you could trigger cells inside our body to reverse their aging. And I had to be honest. I was a little suspicious, but the more you talked about it, because it was all done on a scientific level, I became more and more a believer. Tell us what you had to do to prove your point when you did this with another doctor out of the
Medical College of Wisconsin.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, basically we did a 2,000 human beings study, raising their hormones. Thyroid, pituitary, adrenal, sex hormones to a 20-year-old level. And basically at that time, the rumor has it that the majority of the doctor's position was that it'll have side effects, it'll cause cancer, it'll do all kinds of things. So we want to prove that does it or doesn't it not reverse biological age. So we measure the biological age of our patients, all 2,000 of them, by function. At that time, telomere test hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
So we only have one way of measuring biological function, and that was by function, biological age by function. And so we measure them, and then we put them on 2 years of our hormone program, pushing the levels, adjusting them to a 20-year-old level, and then measure their biological age again. And all of them have success in reversing their biological age, got younger. But not only that, in the process, they got rid of many age-related diseases, such as cholesterol, hypertension, arteriosclerosis, things that we didn't have when we were 20 that we ended up having is called age-related diseases.
Now, I'm just curious, why did you choose 20? And why didn't you say, hey, 30? Why did you use 20?
Because 20 is the optimum age. We are biologically optimum, and that's why the armed services draft people in the 20s. I mean, you're 30, you apply for Marine, they won't take you. So there's a reason they don't take you, because you're biologically not optimum, physically not optimum. So that's why we picked the 20-year-old level as a target, as a goal, and see if we get people sicker or get people healthier. And it turns out if we bring their hormones up to a 20-year-old level, they all get healthier, stronger, younger.
And as you say, those typical diseases that are related to aging, like maybe my focus, my concentration, my hearing.
Right.
And you said arteriosclerosis, arthritis,
cholesterol,
all those things.
Yes.
Either reduced or were eliminated.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So that brings us really to today's question. How would you define optimum health? Since that's the name of the show, let's start off there. How do you define optimum health?
I define optimum health as a person who has the mental and physical function and the health status of a 20-year-old. That's my definition.
Okay, so now let's take that a step further. I think that's a great thing, is saying, hey, I want to wake up every day and feel like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Some of us, we have to think back, how did I feel when I was 20? But
Yeah.
how do they go about doing that?
They go about doing it by first doing something that a lot of doctors don't do. That is to check your hormone levels. You got to check your pituitary hormones, your adrenal hormones, your sex hormones, because all of them decline with age. You have to check where you are. And in my book, Living to 120 and Beyond, I've done a study on all the gurus in the history that are on diets, all kinds of diet, okay? And then all the gurus in the history exercise bouts, exercise, all kinds of exercises. And none of them live beyond 94.
Mm.
And actually, most of them don't have the quality when they reach 60, 70. You know, and but the ones that do exercise are better. They do better. They have, but they suddenly drop off at the end. They don't have the longevity to go with it, and that's because they didn't pay attention to hormones. Mm. They pay attention to nutrition because of nutrition guru. They pay attention to exercise. They have exercise guru like Jack LaLanne. Okay, Jack LaLanne ate well, exercised well all his lifetime. Suddenly died at age 94, and over a flu, a flu that you and I get over easy. But he actually died from it because his immune system that he didn't take care of.
Which are controlled by the hormones?
Hormones, exactly.
Okay.
So he neglected hormones, which is a huge area. In my specialty, I consider hormones number one to maintain fitness and functionality. Next two is nutrition. In fact, the third is exercise.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you have to do it in order, it's first of all get your hormones and then nutrition, and then fitness.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned some of these people that you talk about in your book, because right now the average lifespan of a man is what, about 78 years old?
Exactly, by CDC.
Now I understand it actually for the first time in I think a decade or 2 decades, it actually went down. It didn't extend.
Yeah.
Now, not by a lot, but it went down for the first time ever. And I don't know if that's because, and this is just speculation, I don't know if that's because of the amount of obesity and the type of foods we eat, and the fact that they're not doing it, you know, as a whole, probably people are not doing any of their hormones except letting them decline, right? Mm-hmm. So thinking about these people in your book, I think about somebody like Jim Fixx, the runner, the long-distance runner. You know, he was somebody that looked like he was in premium health, but I think he died at what, age 54?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have Dr. Pritikin.
Yes.
I mean, here's a guy that says, hey, if you eat this way, you're going to live
long. And he himself didn't, 68.
He didn't even make it to the average.
No, he didn't.
Right? So if he'd have done nothing, he probably would have been better off and probably could have lived to the average. Yeah. But he died at a young age.
And his principles are still being followed today.
Scary.
Yeah. So basically, it's missing a part. Big part is missing. If people look at his lifespan, they say something's missing. What's missing? Hormones.
So is there a way that, let's say, the average listener or a viewer can say, hey, I wonder if because of some outward signs that maybe my hormones are low, and then it would have them contact the office and say, hey, can I get that baseline test? Can I see where I'm at? I mean, are there any outward signs that you might notice, that a person might notice that their hormone levels are dropping
Any
out?
complaints that they have in terms of energy, stamina, not being able to do something even after rigorous training, like going to the gym and want to lift weights or tread a certain distance and just can't get it done. Or things like cholesterol coming in, hypertension coming in, obesity coming in. All these things should suggest to a person, hey, go check your hormones. Okay. And if they call my office, give us the name, we'll give them a prescription to do it anywhere they are with the LabCorp and Access Lab, which is a which has branches throughout the country.
Okay.
So we help people without charging one penny. Help people find out what their hormone levels are.
Well, something that I found that was very, very impressive, it wasn't one of those things like when I came in to see you, you didn't say, well, Jeff, how you feeling? You didn't seem to care. I don't want to say care, but that was not the most important thing.
Right.
You wanted to look at, hey, my results from my tests, because it was only based on those test results that now any action was taken. Is that right?
That's correct, because that's the cause. Okay, yeah. For me to care about you, let's say you come in, you say I have decreased energy, decreased endurance, decreased stamina. What's the cause? Billion reasons can be the cause. So actually, it would be inappropriate for me to say, "Oh, I think it's this," "Oh, I think it's that," including hormones. I can't even say that hormones is the cause or was the cause. But once I do the test, then I have data, I have scientific data to say, no, your weakness or loss of endurance and stamina is not from hormones, but rather from your leaky gut, from an infection somewhere hidden that we don't know. I can say that. Because look at your CRP, CRP going up, your homocysteine going up. I can point to the test and tell you the reason why you're not feeling good. And it may not even be hormone.
So just because your specialty is hormones, when you run that test, if you find that is not the specific reason, it doesn't mean you're going to say, hey, you have to go down to the doctor. You're going to continue to move them in the right direction to Optimum Health.
Yes. I do that.
Well, tell us how the people watching again how would they get in touch with your office? Because if you're watching, on the World Wide Web, which of course I know that dates me, but how would someone get a hold of you? Because we're in Palm Springs, California.
Yeah, right.
And so tell us how they get a
All
hold of
they
you.
have to just email me, edmundchein@yahoo.com, or call the office, 760-327-8939, and then say, I want to check my hormones. Give me a prescription. Give me a lab order. I am in Tennessee. I am in Florida. I'm in Alaska. I'm in Hawaii.
So now that brings up another question. Let's say, for instance, this person is in Alaska, and they do the test.
Yes.
They're in Alaska.
Yes.
How do they see you?
Okay. Well, I even tell them we have telemedicine.
Okay.
Telemedicine is authorized by statutes in California, so it's legal for me to see him or her in Alaska without even coming to California physically.
Okay.
Except certain conditions have to be met, like a examination by a local doctor, and then the disease or illness is not one that requires physical contact. Example, ophthalmology. I cannot practice ophthalmology through telemedicine. How are you going to look at the eye? Or gynecology? How are you going to look at the female parts? Impossible. Or cardiology. I can listen through the computer. But laboratory, what our practice is, and hormones is just all numbers.
Yeah.
It's all numbers, and so it's totally adequate enough to do through telemedicine. So I can check the person's hormones and nutrition through blood tests, and then set up a telemedicine, make her or him a patient, and then treat.
So for those of you watching and thinking, geez, and I've seen this before, like I'm watching something and thinking, yeah, but that person is way out of my area. Dr. Chein, and we're in his office. You don't see this in where he does his telemedicine. There's a big TV screen behind the camera. Of course, you see this beautiful view back there. That's for those people that are in Alaska, and maybe it's snowing in Boston. They see this this beautiful beach scene. I think, isn't this your backyard? That they see that. So you're not restricted from getting Optimum Health just because you're not in the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it is all data.
Technology makes the world so small.
Yeah. Because you also do this around the world, do you not?
Yes. Yeah. But telemedicine is really helping a lot of people.
So with this, what our goal is to share with you as the viewers to build on that, hey, what is Optimum Health? Because you heard Dr. Chein say, you know, a lot of times you might say, hey, we know there's two components, eating right and exercise. We've heard that forever, right?
Yeah.
Eat right and exercise. But if you're missing that component, which really should be at the top of the stack, and that's saying, hey, let's get your hormone levels right. And then you probably, and tell me, you're the doctor, does that make the food that we eat, are we able to utilize it and synthesize it
Absolutely.
better? And our exercise is
Absolutely.
more beneficial?
Absolutely. Hormones control the gastrointestinal tract in terms of absorption of nutrients and what to do with the nutrients.
Yeah. I'm gonna challenge you all to go to Dr. Chein's website. It's drchein.com or totalhormonegenetherapy.com. And you can look at some examples of patients when they first started and then after a period of time, and you can see how their muscle structure has changed, you know, as far as tightening the skin, and their tonality is different. Things that they might experience as they get their hormones right. I mean, we see the fine lines go away in the skin, some color back in their hair if they've lost
if they
color.
go back to the study that we did, 1999, published 2,000 people, that was published with Dr. Terry, you can see a lot of different changes, improvements in all kinds of conditions in that scientific report, and the percentage that were successful, and the percentages that are not successful. You know, and not we won't go into why not successful today, but basically it's environmental poisons and toxins. But those that are successful, you can know the percentage.
Yeah. Well, that actually brings up, hey, when you come back next time, we are going to talk about how does environmental conditions put optimum health in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
And even if you live in, let's say, not the most optimal background, you know, you're not in a perfect place, what can you do to make sure, even if you're in a high pollutant area, or maybe the water's not perfect, that you can do things to still maintain or regain optimum health?
Yes.
Well, Dr. Chein, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us out there. This is called Your Optimal Health with Dr. Edmund Chein. He's with Palm Springs Life Extension Institute in Palm Springs, California. And again, one more time before we leave, the phone number that they can reach out and get a hold of.
760-327-8939.
Fantastic. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.